Welcome, everyone. My name is Angela Highland, CIT. I'm a member of the Greater Orlando Chapter and the current National Chair for the PD&E Committee. I want to welcome all of you to this general session called Real Solutions for the Skilled Trades Shortage. The purpose of this panel is to highlight a nonprofit organization whose mission is exactly that, to build partnerships between education and the construction industry to promote and provide pathways to careers in the skilled trades. I would like to introduce you to iBuild of Central Florida.
We forgot about the trades. Industry leaders like myself and others started to say, okay, well, we've got to do something to fix this problem, because if we don't do it now, we're going to be in this situation for the next 20, 30 years. If we better our industry, then we all win. The United States itself could not be where it is today if it wasn't for the construction industry. Our education system started to focus on college instead of just focusing on career paths. If you don't know what you want to do, why don't you figure it out and then decide whether the college route is your route or a blue-collar worker is your route. There's nothing wrong with being a blue-collar worker. What can we do as a school system? What can we do as an industry to start getting these people that don't necessarily have a career path? How do we get them into our industry? If we all band together and work together for one common goal, couldn't we change the way that this community is? And that's really how iBuild was formed. Everybody was talking about it, but yet nobody was doing anything about it. And I was really just the one that said, hey, I think this could work. And let's be real, I mean, most of the time somebody's given up on them. But I don't think this industry gives up on anybody. The reason why I came into this industry is because every day was different. And not only was every day different, but every day was different and you could see what you accomplished. And to me, there was no better career path than being able to walk away from a building and be like, oh, look, I did all of this today. This is about us. This is about our community. This is about changing people's lives and teaching them something that they may have not had the opportunity to, because that's just not what their upbringing was. Changing people's lives is it.
Hi, I'm Steve Miller with Baker Concrete.
Hi, my name is Kathy Blackwell and I'm with J.A. Croson.
Hello, I'm Jeff Arnott from Brevard Public Schools.
I'm Julie Bennett from APG Electric.
I'm Linnea Weisman. I work for Lake County Schools.
Hi, I'm Crystal Davidson. I'm the Senior Director of Orange Technical College, Westside Campus.
Hi, I am Tina Kraft and I'm with Fringe Benefit Plans.
Hi, my name is Emery Carey. I'm with Orange County Schools.
Hi, I'm Mike Armbruster. I'm the Associate Superintendent for Career and Technical Education for Orange County Public Schools.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Tana Rodriguez. I am the Program Coordinator for iBuild Central Florida, iBuild Carpentry Apprenticeship Program.
Hi, my name is Debbie Rodriguez and I'm the founder and the president of iBuild Central Florida.
iBuild is a huge supporter of education and the trades.
iBuild to me means opportunity. It means the opportunity for the business partners in the education system to come together and offer opportunities to those individuals that are looking to start off a career in the construction industry or to restart a career in the construction industry.
iBuild is the link that my students and my school have between the workforce needs and actually what we're teaching in the classrooms.
It's an organization where we're tying the educational sector to what we do for a living.
We've now turned into a great organization impacting districts all across Central Florida and impacting companies all across Central Florida.
iBuild to me means an option for our students, not an alternative path, but an option for students entering apprenticeship programs and landing a great career, and we definitely appreciate iBuild.
Well, iBuild has been tremendous. First of all, in just opening our eyes to what can be.
iBuild is collaborating with our education system in Central Florida like nothing else that I've ever seen.
iBuild is involved in creating that synergy between schools and construction.
This past year we had our first iBuild Invitational and it was phenomenal. Industry stepped up, they had a lot of people there, there was a job fair, but most importantly there was a great opportunity for students to compete against each other at their skill levels and to just bring real attention and a celebration to the whole construction industry.
The iBuild Invitational competitions was very exciting. We brought vocational students, high school and adult, from all over Central Florida to come in and compete in a huge competition.
We meet monthly, but it's mainly on what do we do to take this to the next level, how do we get more viable programs that we feel like will not only benefit us in the industry already, but benefit those individuals who may not be aware.
I'm very grateful for iBuild because it's growing. It's growing like wildfire. It's caught on. It started here in Central Florida to bring people to the table that we're all doing different things in the industry, and now everybody's working together. They're sharing information, they're sharing ideas.
A lot of kids don't know that there's other pathways that they can follow other than college, so this really educates the students and then creates our workforce.
So first I'd like to introduce you to our esteemed panel that's joined us today. First is Debbie Rodriguez, President and founder of iBuild, also owner of Quality Labor Management and Competitive Edge Partners in Central Florida, and is also a member of the Greater Orlando Chapter. Crystal Davidson, who is the Vice President of iBuild Central Florida, and she is also the Senior Director of Orange Technical College here in Orlando. Jennifer Rodriguez is the Education Liaison for iBuild Central Florida and Safety Consultant for Competitive Edge Partners. And Tara Haygood, who is on staff as the Program Coordinator for iBuild. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Please put any questions into the chat box, and at the end of the recorded presentation, we will join you live and answer the questions as they come in. So without further ado, I'd like to address questions to our panel. Debbie, we're going to start with you. You kicked it off. You started it all. Can you tell us the vision that you had that started iBuild?
Well, the vision really was more of a, so I had joined the ABC board in 2015. And really I was sitting in a room full of my peers, so 27 board members, and workforce development was the hot topics. So being in the staffing industry and have been doing that for so long, the entire ABC board said, you know, Debbie, why don't you take over the workforce development and be the lead? And so at that moment, I was like, well, what does that exactly mean? So as I continued to go from 2015 into 2016, the conversation at every single meeting at ABC, at NAWIC, at ACT, at GOBA, all of these different organizations were, the lack of skilled trades. So I just really got to the point where I said, well, we can keep talking about this for the next 20 or 30 years, or we could start actually fixing the problem. So really that's what transpired iBuild into what it is today. It was a lack of wanting or not wanting to continue to do the same things that we've done for 20 or 30 years and actually start working together, all organizations under one umbrella, to try to fix the gap that we have in the skilled trades. So that's really how it started, was just truly bringing everybody together, one community, one partnership, to get us where we needed to be, because we couldn't do it as individuals, we could only do it as a community. And that's really what formed iBuild Central Florida.
So how did you pull that off? That was a huge feat. So how did you make that happen?
Well, I think everybody has this whole, I'm the connector of all the dots. So I had a relationship with Crystal Davison at Orange Technical College. I had a relationship with Osceola Technical. I had a relationship at Seminole State. I had a relationship at Valencia. I had relationships at Seminole County. A lot of them through relationships from Construction Career Camp at NAWIC. So those continued to blossom into what I believed were partnerships. So the first piece was getting the education involved, because the education was at the point in our community that we they were ready to have the industry, the construction industry, to be able to band with them to be able to fill the gaps of our employment. So the education system came into place right away. The beginning of 2015, or the ending of 2015, the beginning of 2016, they were on board. We were, all of the school systems, Seminole County, Orange County, Osceola County, all of them were ready for this change. So then it was then moving into the industry part. How do we get the industry to realize that if we work together with education, that we can actually start to help the problem that we have enough people coming into the skilled trades and enough people coming into the construction industry? So then it was really at that point just bringing both parties together, and that's kind of the vision was, if you could get everybody together in one common goal, which is what iBuild was trying to do, then you could truly change your community and you could truly change what the industry was doing. So that's what we did. And then now we have Polk County as part of iBuild, Lake County is part of iBuild, Brevard County is part of iBuild, and I won't talk about, because I know one of your questions is expansion of iBuild, so we'll get to that later. But you know, it was really that. It was just bringing all of the education and the construction industry together to work on the problem that we had.
And so all of those counties are in the Central Florida area, correct?
Yes.
So you got all of education to the table, and you got some big name GCs and subcontractors coming to the table. It's pretty powerful. So what was the first year like?
The first year, Crystal can attest to this one because she's been, and you too. The first year I wanted to run my head into the wall. It was hard. I had education that was, I mean, just probably, if it wasn't for Dr. Armbruster and Crystal and certain people in the education sector and Mark from Valencia, I probably would have run the other way and said this challenge is way too big for me. I remember our first kickoff meeting at Valencia in 2016. We had put all of this work and all of this effort into having basically a whole town meeting about how we were going to change the industry and how we were going to partner with education. And about 40 people from the industry showed up. And I remember going, why am I doing this? Why am I working this hard? And I remember Dr. Armbruster looked at me and he goes, don't give up. And so at that moment, when Dr. Armbruster looks at you and says, don't give up, you don't give up. So I didn't. You know, the next year, it was just more conversations and more, you know, meeting people and then having other people, you know, Tara joined iBuild through Wharton Smith, which is a GC here in Central Florida, and just PCL joined, and then Austin Commercial joined, and Turner joined, and all of these big general contractors, and then the subcontractors kind of followed suit. But I'll be honest, the first year was hard. It was probably one of the most difficult things to know that you need this so badly and for people not to see your vision. But the good thing is it only lasted for about a year. And then from there, I mean, we at some points have more than 100 people, right at 100 people at our meetings, which is pretty powerful to have those decision makers and all different levels attending your monthly meetings just to see what we're doing to continue to enhance our industry. But once we got the subcontractors and the general contractors ready to go, it became, and that didn't really happen until probably the middle of 2017. And then we started to really gain that momentum. It did take a while, and it was very frustrating at the beginning. But if you never give up, then you don't lose. So I never gave up.
It's a great message, and I can speak from personal experience. I was there when you founded iBuild, and through the creation of the board. So iBuild has a board of directors and a nice structure. It's a nice mix of industry and education. And it was really powerful to be on the front lines at that time and watch in amazement all of the people that came to the table. I mean, just to know that it was people's heart to solve this problem. And it was amazing. I think to see that education was impacted because it was something that they wanted so badly. in this community, but they always felt like it was one-sided, that maybe industry wasn't coming to join them. And then maybe industry didn't think education was going to help them because shop classes were getting cut and all of the politics that were going on. So it was amazing on the front end. Some programs were set up. We did the construction classroom connections, they called it, where volunteers from general contractors and local subs would go into the schools and talk to the students. We had a lot of interaction there. That is still an ongoing program, isn't it?
Actually, it is. It's connecting the classroom with the industry. And it's actually morphed into something much bigger. I mean, think about just Orange County alone, and Crystal can attest, I mean, the schools. So we started just going to the schools that had a construction program. But the vision was truly to get to all of the schools in Orange County and then move down to the middle schools. Because truly where you start making the most impact in our education system is in the middle school before they really start going down those tracks of what their life will look like when they become, ready for work. So really, as we continue to grow that program, we're focusing it on the middle school and high school. And it's been, obviously COVID has taken a little bit of a backseat on it, but we're starting to come up with some really creative ways of coming into the classroom virtually, where we don't necessarily have to come in and speak to them, in person. Like what we're doing right now is one of the pilots that we're doing out with some of the classrooms. So it's really blossomed into something far more than what we ever thought it was going to be, and continue to look forward to watching the growth of connecting the classroom with the industry.
Aside from your initial capital expense, how are you funding all of this?
Well, originally, so I'm one of those people that if I believe in what we're doing as a community, then I'll put my money where my mouth is. So the very beginning of iBuild was 100% funded from myself. And then a couple of years ago, the board of iBuild, I think finally got through to me that said, look, this has become something much bigger than what it originally was thought out to be. So the board had decided that we would start doing a membership due. And we were pleasantly surprised that it was really warm recepted by all of our membership. I mean, we have, $10,000 sponsors at several different companies, subcontracting companies and general contracting companies. And that's really what has now helped us to really move to that next level. It's what allowed us the opportunity to hire Tara and now finally have a full-time staff member, because up until October of last year, and then the year before that when Jennifer was getting our carpentry apprenticeship program up and running, it was really just myself and the board that was spearheading all of the growth of iBuild. So it's been a huge asset to be able to have that membership dues now and then have the ability to hire a Tara. And she's really been able to move it into the next level.
Right. I know you did some fundraising as well, which I think helped in those early years before the memberships came online. You were able to do some events, bowling battle, and things like that, which really brought the community together even more. So that was really great. So I'd like to pass
real quick on that one. So the fundraiser, the very first 2 years that we started iBuild and we did the fundraiser, it actually went towards the grant. So we have the Frank Bracco iBuild Up grant, which is non-college bound. It is 100% trade bound tools. It is a program that was developed by the membership to give back to the people that wanted to get into the industry or wanted to better themselves in the industry. So truly it was one of those, so the first 2 years, the fundraisers went solely to that grant process. And then from there, then the fundraiser turned into more of helping to sustain the membership and what we were doing to grow iBuild.
Wonderful. So community minded. It's just been amazing to watch. So I'd like to ask Crystal some questions from the education perspective. Can you give us some insights as an educator when you first heard about this, and then how this has impacted the education system overall?
Sure. I think our first initial, I would like to go back and say it kind of started through NAWIC because we are the host of the summer camp that our NAWIC Central Florida chapter sponsors every year. My campus is the host of that. So a lot of relationships have been built with Debbie and other members from that perspective. And then also my campus already has a gamut of construction trades programs. So that relationship was already started, and that's kind of how whenever Debbie came to me with this idea, and I had been probably complaining that we didn't have enough industry support of telling us what do we need to produce, what kind of skills do they need to have, and it was, other than Debbie and a few other people, we really didn't have that connection to the industry to get that honest feedback like we have in our medical side of our house, et cetera, for other programs that we have. So Debbie, of course, went on a rampage, and that's kind of how we started all of this. As far as from an educational perspective, we're now up to 5 counties, the highest level of their career and technical education, secondary school systems, as well as the post-secondary school systems are all present. So now instead of us as an education world, we sit in rooms and we decide what's good for the working world, we now have the actual people that are hiring our graduates all in one place, all at one time, helping us, seeing what we're having trouble with. I mean, just the sheer fact of us saying that we're short on construction supplies, and then hearing contractors at the table saying, we've got tons of stuff left over from this build and that build, and now we're able to alleviate some of the cost prohibitions that we've been experiencing just within a 5-minute conversation. So those are some things that have happened, and just connecting the educators to the industry. All of my instructors at my school all have come from industry, so they already had that. They had been in the carpentry field or in the electrical trade field for years, and now they're giving back to their trade and now teaching. So we had some connections, but what iBuild has brought is like nothing we could have ever expected. It's bringing those decision makers, I think is what Debbie said before, from all school districts. And I don't want to say it in a bad thing, but we are leveraging, like, the other counties around us don't want to be outdone by what we're doing. So we're all stepping up our game, and we're all supporting each other as we try to increase all of these programs and create a better workforce for the Central Florida area of tradesmen. So the support system that iBuild has brought in, from making a unity just out of the 5 school districts, not alone the connection to the industry, has been invaluable for us.
Wonderful. I mean, just the benefits keep going, and in such unexpected ways. I think it has surprised everybody that has been there since the beginning. It gets better and better. So in 2018, iBuild had an opportunity to receive a grant that took iBuild to the next level. Crystal, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, our workforce board is known as Career Source in Florida, had offered up there was some money on the table, $500,000, broken into 5 different grants for the expansion of apprenticeship programs. So we currently are fortunate in my school in Orlando, Central Florida area to have electrical, air conditioning, welding, all those different trades. We had all of those apprenticeship programs that we run, but we did not have a non-joint carpentry program. So of course, when I received the information, I took it to Debbie and was like, okay, do you think we could get this? And then we kind of started working. Of course, it was due at the end of spring break. So I worked my entire spring break when we were in a room trying to create this grant from nothing. And we were fortunate that we secured $100,000 to actually get us started to prepare to create a carpentry apprenticeship program for the Central Florida area. So that was the turning point, and that was a kind of allowed us to venture off and secure and start building iBuild to what it really needs to fill in the gaps that we already saw.
So this program is called ICAP, right? The iBuild Carpentry Apprenticeship Program.
Yeah.
And so from there, there were measures put in place to get that set up. So I'd like to ask some questions of Jennifer Rodriguez, who's with us. She had a lot to do with the setup of that and getting that off the ground. Jen, can you tell us a little bit about what was involved in getting that program going?
when they received the grant, they had funds allocated in there that they could actually hire someone to start the program, build it, and launch it. So that's where I came in. When we started, we had to meet with Crystal's instructors and some other people that we work with through NAWIC and ACT. And we actually had to sit down and build the curriculum and build the standards. Once we built all that, we had to send it to the state to make sure it was approved, because it's a state approved apprenticeship program. So several months, about 3.5, 4 months to get all the curriculum and standards in place. And we actually, in the meantime, we're also meeting with all of our GCs and subs that were interested in putting their employees into the program. And we physically sat down with them and asked them, what do they want in the program? And we literally built a 4-year program with what they wanted for their companies, for their employees to get out of it. So it took some time to get what everybody needed in there. Luckily, the state took it, accepted it. Once we got that approved, we were able to go out and recruit to our companies and say, we actually do have this program. We're going to be starting. Who do you have that you would like to see gain this great skill and work with you and move up the ladder and be successful with your company? And it was interesting to kind of meet with the companies who were on board. And at one point we had a company that had to interview I believe 13 of their employees and had a cutoff of who they could submit for their first year of students, because they had such a good turnout of people that were interested in the program.
Wow. So talk about the first year. Once that got going, then what happened? How did you guys get that up and running in that first year?
A lot of work. We had a great small knit board with all of our subs and GCs that we met monthly to kind of figure out how we were going to roll it out. We worked with Career Source monthly and kind of met with them to see how we were going to finance and secure our books, our materials, and all that information. We did our initial orientation with our students, and it was exciting. It was great. Got all their paperwork filled out because now they were officially enrolled students in a program. So it was very interesting to see these adults so excited to be part of something and want to learn. And the classes were held at night. It's a 2-night program, 3 hours apiece. And then from here is where we kind of needed someone that could do it full time. And that's when Debbie and Crystal on the board said, okay, now we need to hire, a program coordinator who can take this and run it full. And Tara jumped in, and, I passed on my adult babies over to Tara. So.
How many people did you have in the program when you started?
The initial enrollment, I believe we had 23, was the 22.
Wonderful. That's great. And so the first year has completed, yes?
First year is completed. We just had, of course, with, COVID and going on, we had to the last semester, Tara, of school had to go virtual, had to go online. She was able to proctor the students because it is an NCCR program. So they received all their certificates and certifications. We had a cute little Zoom graduation with them all and, wished them well. And now we have year 2 students going. So
that's wonderful. So Crystal, from the education side, how was that received over at Orange Technical?
Yeah, so basically we're a county school system run by the state of Florida. So we leveraged our dollars and supported the program where we basically use our facility. We use our instructors that are already current instructors for us, or we go out to the GCs and actually ask their managers and different people to become teachers for us, like we do with our other apprenticeship programs. So basically we leveraged our money that we have coming in from the state to put toward building this program. And so with that being said, we were able to use our facilities here in the evenings. It's 2 nights a week. And then we'll be able to grow this into a 4-year program. So this year was only 1 teacher, and then Tara, she was here at our classes with our students. And then next year we will have 2 different classes going, first years and second years. And so yes, COVID did bring in a little wrench into that, but we were able to move to online delivery systems, and we're currently working to even do some cohort scheduling for next year, for this incoming year, so that we'll have lab time for everyone, even if, until we can get through this COVID uncertainty. So we're working through those scheduling models now. I think the biggest thing is it was such a partnership with with the industry and the GCs and the subcontractors that went into the arguments and the fussing about what it is that they truly wanted out of a first year apprentice, a second year apprentice, a third year. It just didn't happen overnight. It was a lot of conversation, a lot of hours. But what it is when you get done with this 4-year program, I say it's your college degree because it is. You will have a journey person carpenter when you get done, because it's everything that Central Florida construction companies need out of someone. So we're very fortunate that we could support this program. And then the additional, now we've actually got a pre-apprenticeship program for the construction trades that we're launching. So it's just building and growing. And you, like I said before, with Debbie said, my boss has been very, very much supportive of apprenticeships. It was a non-negotiable, and we will do this as a district. And I think he's led other districts around in other counties to say that this is important to us, and construction trades is important. So go back to that leveraging your power to use it for great things. So it has
power relationships. Yep, power relationships is everything. And real quick, just because I think it's important for everybody to know, Jen, how much was it costing these students to take this apprenticeship program?
For the students, absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. The students were selected by their employers. The employers have a financial responsibility in that part, but the students pay nothing for their books, pay nothing for the classes, pay nothing for the materials. And now that we even have the online classes, we had some students that did not have computers, and those were provided as well. So nothing.
Wow, that's amazing.
So they will technically graduate debt-free.
Wow. Wow, that's so powerful. I mean, you know, that's part of what has always been part of the narrative of iBuild, going back to the beginning, that you don't have to be on a college path to be successful in life. Several of us actually live that story, and we've got that goal of changing that conversation with the parents and letting those parents know that their kids can do great things and make great money, and that it is a noble profession that we work in. This industry is it's essential. So we've been able to keep going through COVID and everything. So it's very important, the work that iBuild does. So fast forward a little bit to 2019. I want to take this back to Debbie for a minute. You came up with this idea to create the iBuild Invitational. Will you tell us what that is?
Yeah, so, you know, with every good visionary, you have all these wonderful people that support you. And there's never, it can't happen, it won't happen, we can't do it. It's always, we're gonna do it. So I am very blessed to have a board and a membership of people that totally so iBuild Invitational was a vision that we all sat around in a room, and you were part of this, and we talked about, literally, we're going to do a job fair, we're going to do a skills competition, we're going to do a signing day, and we're going to have a keynote speaker. And everybody's like, that's a really lofty goal to get all of those things done, while, you know, well, number one, I mean, we're just starting out. So the iBuild Invitational was formed, and we had just shy of 200 people. At the first one, we had every single job fair table was sold out. We provided food, or we had sponsorships with our food. We had the education system and the construction industry were actually a panel discussion. It was just really, you know, that I think that day was a day that I really had to stop and just take a moment and breathe, to see like all of the things that we've accomplished in such a short amount of time. And we're so upset about what's happened with COVID. We were so excited about iBuild Invitational. It was actually, it's always the last Saturday of April. So obviously it was canceled because of what's going on. We're still hopeful that the world will turn around in the next 30 to 60 days and we'll have an iBuild Invitational still this year. But if not, it's okay. We'll just mean that it will make it bigger and better next year. So it was really just a conversation that a lot of the people on this call and a lot of people in our community truly made it happen. It was incredible watching. So we had a carpentry competition, we had an electrical competition, we had a plumbing competition, a masonry competition, HVAC competition, a technical competition, and a heavy equipment operating competition, all going on at Mid-Florida Tech, which is one of OCPS's facilities. It was pretty incredible. I mean, there was so much energy in that room, and just, I think we had 6 people sign on that day. So they were given hard hats and company shirts, offer letters. Of course, they had to go through the hiring process at the offices, but it was really, we did gold, bronze, and silver medals for the winners of the competitions. We gave cash prizes. So it was a great day. It was a great day, a great vision, and can't wait to do it again, hopefully this year.
I think it's definitely become one of iBuild's signature events. I know there was a lot of people looking forward to it. I know that it really impacted the general contractors. There was a lot of excitement, and watching the people that won have their hard hat with the logos on it, like they do in the NBA. That was just very exciting. So also in 2019, that you kind of mentioned this before, that you decided, well, as a board, to create memberships because there was a need for funds, and if we were going to continue to do great things in the community, it was going to require money, and you can't do everything without money. So you decided to hire a program coordinator. So can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, you kind of alluded to it earlier, someone to take on the heavy lifting that you were carrying on, or that you were taking on.
Well, so with 2 companies that at the time were I was running an $18 million company and a $7 million company at the same time that we were trying to grow iBuild. Well, at a certain point, you have to raise your hand and say, I can't, like, I can't keep doing it. I can't get us to where we need to be. And recognizing as a leader, I was failing the growth and the potential growth of iBuild. So, between Crystal and many of the board members, that revelation happened where I raised my hand and I said, for the betterment of this organization and what this organization truly can do, we needed somebody else that would make this their full-time focus. And we did an interview process. We posted the job out on the internet. We posted it among all of our organizations, our sister organizations, the NAWICs and the ABCs. And then we did panel interviews. The board did panel interviews, and we were really lucky. The same way that we did Jen's position, we did panel interviews for when we were hiring for that position. And Tara was on the board. She was on the board with Wharton Smith, and very, very active board member. And we were super excited to see her name come through as one of the people that wanted to apply for the position, along with, I think we had 5 other candidates. And so we went through that interview process, and it wasn't an easy decision because we had some really good qualified candidates. We had some other members of iBuild that were part of that wanting to be the future of the organization, but Tara really stood out. I mean, number one, she just her energy and the way that she presents herself, and being young was, and yes, sorry Tara, you're young. I mean, that she has a lot of really great and creative ideas, and we were sad to watch her leave the board, but we were happy to have her part of the bigger picture. So it's really how it happened. It was just, we were at the point that I couldn't do it. Between Crystal and me and you and other people, Nancy Merced, and just a lot, Tina Kraft, and a bunch of people in our community, there's too much. We had too many other things to do to let iBuild fail. So we were excited to hire Tara.
Yeah, you lost a board member, but you gained a rock star. I mean, I know that Tara's doing great things. So everyone, Tara Haygood. So Tara, tell us how long you've been part of iBuild, going back how far, and tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I've joined iBuild about 3 or 4 years back, just a regular member. I kind of started by dipping my toe in to see what iBuild was all about. And shortly after, I was just kind of blown away by the conversations that were taking place in these meetings. Really, just to be honest, every month that was my favorite meeting to attend because it actually felt like we were getting stuff done. We all had the same issues, but in these meetings, it really felt like we were actually tackling those issues. So shortly after becoming a member, I kind of went from dipping my toe in to just diving in head first and joined pretty much as many committees as I could, between connecting the classroom and the ICAP advisory board and everything else that I could really help with. I tried to, and I enjoyed every minute of it. So about, I think it was 2018, I became a board member. And same thing there. It was my favorite time of the month. I loved doing what we were doing. It felt like you were a part of something much bigger. And I just really enjoyed the process, seeing people actually collaborate. I come from a recruiting and HR background. So, you know, these are issues that we're facing constantly with the workforce shortage, not being able to find enough people. And here we had industry and education coming together to where not only was the industry side of things, or the industry side getting people from the education side of things, but there was also such collaboration amongst the industry that you would have somebody come up and say, unfortunately, we have to make layoffs, but here are some amazing candidates. These competitors were coming together to actually collaborate and really just make the community stronger. So shortly after that, I left my position at Wharton Smith and was hired on as the program coordinator in late 2019. And I've been doing that since October. I've been loving every minute of it. I think really what happened was all the stars aligned and this position fell right onto my lap where it was the best of everything. So I have some nonprofit background, I have some HR and recruiting background, and I come from a general contractor in the area where I have some construction background. Everything kind of mixed together perfectly, and this position became available, and I'm happy I'm here and a part of it.
Well, I know you're doing great things, and I'm curious from your perspective, now that you've been in for a while and a lot of the things that you've been doing, in what ways do you see iBuild growing from here?
The funny thing about that is it seems like iBuild grows more and more every day. Every time there's a need in our community or in the industry, it seems like as long as we get everybody together, shortly after it's solved. Shortly after somebody comes up with a great idea and everybody bands together to put together an initiative or a program. And within a week after, it seems like these issues that we're discussing there's actually a plan of action put in place to resolve it. So really, it seems like it's growing more every day between new initiatives like the Trade Teacher Toolbox, where we're trying to connect all of Central Florida's trade instructors and give them guidance on allowing there to be mentorship programs and allowing them to share resources and materials so they don't feel so alone. A lot of times what happens in these counties is if you're a trade instructor, you're probably the only one at your school. And if you aren't the only one in the school, you could be the only one in the whole county who's teaching this sort of industry topic. So really providing that support to where they don't go away or leave the program is real important to us. So every day there's something new coming up and we're really excited about it. On top of that, expanding. We're probably going to touch on that here in a second more, but iBuild Central Florida has been so beneficial to not only the industry partners and the educational partners who are involved, but everybody in the community. We also reach out to nonprofits and try to help other nonprofits as much as we can. We have so many people who have offices not only in Central Florida, but Jacksonville or Miami or Tampa reaching out about, can I get these offices involved? So it kind of just became clear that we need to expand to the Gulf Coast and eventually North Florida as well, which is next up for us to accomplish.
Yeah, really exciting stuff. So Debbie, how can NAWIC and iBuild partner up? In what ways can they collaborate to make more of an impact nationwide or just even in their cities?
So it's so funny that you should ask me that because me and Tara just talked about that today. So we, as iBuild, we need a national organization like a NAWIC, like an ABC, like a Habitat for Humanity, those type. We need to be part of an arm, an extension of some national organization to continue to build and have people like Crystal, myself, you know, you, Tara, those people that want to lead that march and and I do think that NAWIC has a lot of those type of people in it. We can give you all of the framework and all of the ability and the knowledge to get to where you want to be, when we started and where we are today is completely different. I say that all the time. Like, I started with a vision of we were going to be a one source community driven, everybody comes to iBuild, and then we get to then disseminate out to other organizations, other nonprofits, to the education sector, but we would collaborate together as an industry. And then all of a sudden, it turned into connecting the classroom with the industry, the iBuild Invitational. We're talking about, you know, doing a mobile apprenticeship program. I mean, so if a NAWIC member, if this is something that excites you and makes you like, what can I do to make this in my community? That's what NAWIC can do, is your leaders and your visionaries that want to do this program in their markets, just get a hold of us. We'll give you all the tools. And it doesn't mean that your program will look exactly like we do here in Central Florida, but you can take bits and parts of what we do and expand it and then watch it grow, because every meeting, it seems like something else comes up and we could potentially go a different direction because it just makes more sense. And obviously, as times are changing with everything that's happening in our world, we continue to change with those times. We're not so set in our ways that we can't just maneuver and make those changes. So, you know, I would encourage you and really challenge you, if this is what you're passionate about, education, our industry, and getting more people the educational level that they need to be successful, and you love our industry, the construction industry, then let's make it happen in your community, because it's really just that easy.
Yeah. It all starts with
Yeah, I would like to piggyback on what she just said. I think because of the way that we approached it is we do have industry, and then we also have education. So I'm able to speak educationally on certain topics. I'm able to make connections in other counties and other areas of the state because I already have those connections, and I can talk from an educational standpoint of how we got it done within the governmental systems, or what courses did we use, what funding sources did we use, did we leverage Perkins dollars, all that educational stuff that Debbie just shakes her head at every time I'm speaking about it to educators. Then she can leverage the amount of the stuff with the contractor. So it alleviates those barriers that we keep having, where I can speak the educational stuff and she can speak the contractor side, and we both can come together and build this great unit, because now we have everybody at the table. So I think as we look to expand and help, it's very important not just to have one side at the table. Education is just as important as the contractors, and contractors are just as important as the educators. And that's how they're valued within iBuild. And the relationships is the best part about everything. So just also wanted to make sure that you, the members out there knew that with our apprenticeship program, and we don't want to leave out how Valencia College has played a huge role in this. So they're our state college system in our state. And what they've done is they've come to the table and said, anyone that completes a registered apprenticeship at Orange Technical College has an entire year of their 2-year construction management degree already completed. So basically it's a handheld moment where we take our graduates of our apprenticeship trades program and we do everything for them to put them into this management track, which in our industry in Central Florida was such a major need that Valencia stepped up to the table and wrote curriculum for that construction trades management 2-year degree program. So what they've been able to bring to the table as far as this seamless system of education is unbelievable for our residents here in Central Florida and for the industry, is to try to break down those barriers that sometimes in education we can put up, that we've really worked hard on getting those things down, and industry does tell us to stop being so rigid sometimes. So that's one of the things I do want to say. But educationally, you really need somebody in your corner from an educator's perspective with the industry to help get this off the ground.
Well, I think this is really cool. You know, there's some really key takeaways here that I hope everyone watching is cluing in on. The power of relationships is so important, because what many of us know that know Debbie Rodriguez, she's the queen of relationships in the construction industry. Everybody knows her, and she has leveraged those relationships and pulled people together. And it started with just a core group of people, and it has grown in such a short period of time. There has been so much accomplishment in these past 4 years. It's overwhelming when you think about it. I know Debbie feels it every day. And so when you think that, well, I'm just not one person, I'm just one person, what difference am I going to make? Look at what has happened here. It is amazing, because I can tell you that original meeting was Debbie and maybe 3 people. And from there, it has grown to be this, and we've all worked full-time jobs in addition. So it can be done. We are here to tell you it can be done in any capacity, whether you want to take it to your company, whether you want to take it to your chapter, whether you want to take it to NAWIC National and get them out in front of this. I mean, the possibilities are endless. So to wrap things up, I want to let everybody know we're going to, when we go live, after this recorded presentation, we're going to give some contact information and we're going to ask the questions. But before we do that, I want to finish with Debbie. Where do you see, because you're the visionary, so where do you see iBuild in 10 years?
Well, I ask myself that question almost every day. So I want to say one thing because it's really important, especially with this being a NAWIC event or a NAWIC panel. Back in 2014 and 15, when I became the president of our Central Florida chapter, in my speech, I said that my whole platform was building a legacy. And most people build legacies through usually children. Yeah, and of course, for those of you that know me, I did not have any of my own birth children, although I have many other children that I consider mine. But you build something to hope that you're building something for when you're not here anymore. And so it was really interesting because I tie everything back to that speech that I gave about building a legacy. And then looking back now, I mean, that was 2014, 2015, and the ending of my president's year is when I started on the ABC board. And so coming full circle, it's pretty amazing because this organization was one of the ones that kind of opened my eyes up to something bigger than myself. So 10 years from now, well, I think mobile apprenticeship programs on job sites is definitely being sponsored by some big players like your Disneys, your Universals, your I'm speaking locally stuff, but you can visualize that in all of your communities. I mean, I could totally see an iBuild apprenticeship program on wheels going to those particular areas, the airport, sponsored by those big hitters, because the thing that we don't do enough is continue to educate our tradespeople. I think that's a huge vision, and I know that we're in the brinks of making that a possibility, like extremely in the brinks of it, and we're super excited about that. We're going into the prison system. We're starting a pilot program in Ocala, which isn't even part of our Central Florida market. We're going a little bit beyond that. It's a women's prison, so we're doing a women's prison virtually. So we're teaching them trades virtually because we can't come into the prison system with all these tools. So, we're super excited about what that's going to look like. And there's so many exciting things happening. I hope that from this conversation, we have iBuilds in almost every market that NAWIC has, one of their chapters. Education-wise, continuing to foster those relationships with the school systems and letting them know that we are truly their partners, helping them through some of their battles. We've changed a lot of legislative issues. One thing that we're very proud of, the education system and the construction industry went to Tallahassee together, which has never been heard of. We literally went with the same agenda, 22 of us, and we would walk into senators and House of Representatives offices, and it's pretty powerful to see those two different entities coming together, we changed it the way that Crystal's able to hire people that don't necessarily have the college education that the school system typically needs. So we're constantly trying to create avenues to make things easier for us to continue to get more people into our industry. So I think, I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't ask all of my panelists, you know, what do they see in 10 years? Because it's not just my vision, it's our vision. It's this community's vision. It is, at this point, I'm just the lucky one that had the idea and was able to bring everybody together, because it won't end with me. You know, Tara's got a lot more years in this than I even have in this. And I think for me, it's just watching, you know, opening up our kickoff meeting in the Gulf Coast is next week, which would have been in April had COVID not happened. So we're already talking in North Florida about kicking off in 2021. So, you know, 10 years seems, I'm sorry?
Chapters in that area?
Yes, yeah. So Gulf Coast is done. It's a done deal. It's starting next week. North Florida's, we're partnering with ABC in North Florida. So I mean, and it doesn't mean that, you know, we can go with different organizations. It doesn't have to be NAWIC every time. It doesn't have to be ABC every time. It has to be people that are passionate about education and about our industry. And those are really the only things that you have to be passionate about and wanting to make a difference. Somebody asked me, what is your ultimate goal? Which is kind of what you're asking me now. I would love to get the welfare system out of Central Florida. I would love to be able to teach everybody a trade and get them a career path and a career opportunity that gets them off of welfare. That's my ultimate goal. So, and that's a huge lofty goal.
That's a legacy. That is. Did anybody else have anything to offer about where they see iBuild ultimately and the impacts it can make?
I'll add to that.
Okay.
Debbie did a great job, and I agree with everything she said. The only thing I would add is really further pushing ending the negative stigma around the construction industry. It's still so prevalent with how essential we are. Like, we know construction is essential, but it still has such a negative stigma around it. Eliminating that, which we kind of touched on earlier, it's not just educating the high schoolers and the middle schoolers and the students themselves, it's also educating the guidance counselors, the instructors, and the parents, because the parents are all still pushing most of their kids towards college. And I think some of us on this call or some of us in the membership are guilty of it as well. But you know, you want what's best for your child, and a lot of times people aren't even considering construction as an option when really it's such a viable, lucrative career pathway for them, where they can take an apprenticeship and earn while they learn, to where they're getting paid to further their education, and they could already be halfway done with a degree by the time they finish it. It's lucrative, and there's so many opportunities. And I think all across the country, ending that stigma and really allowing people to see construction as more than what they see it as now would be a huge goal to accomplish in the next 10 years.
And I think that's something that NAWIC can help us spearhead as well. I mean, I think that NAWIC doesn't use the power that it potentially has. I mean, we were talking about it just the other day on one of our NAWIC chapter meetings is, you know, what could our local NAWIC do to help change the stigma? Like, it is okay to be in the construction industry. I'm proud to be in this industry. So, I mean, and I think, you know, that's where Tara's right. I mean, we couldn't do anything that we do in this world if it wasn't for the construction industry. I wouldn't be sitting here. Jennifer wouldn't be sitting in wherever she's at. Crystal wouldn't be sitting in her school. I mean, if it wasn't for our industry. And somewhere along the lines, we forgot that being a blue collar worker was okay. I mean, and be proud of that. So I echo what you said, Tara, because at the ending of the day, I like being a blue collar worker. I'm all right with it. I'm pretty proud of it.
Absolutely.
Only thing I would add to that is my feeling is there's more than one way to get to a great career. And going back to saying that, you know, there's so many options. We've got to do education on how you can become, and there's more than just a college degree to get there. Not that saying a college degree is not great. I'm saying that there's a way to get there. There's a way to learn. There's a way to earn, and just changing the perception. And then the partnerships is the biggest thing, is what I would like to preach to everyone. from an educational perspective, because I know a lot of times educators, we get in our little rooms and we want to decide what's best, and it's not ever done that way. It's always with the collaboration and relationships of who we're producing the workforce for. And this is just a great model of how that works and how it's going to be best, not only for the employer, but for the whole Central Florida region, going back into getting those people a hand up and allowing them opportunities to come in and work while they, are learning and then getting paychecks to provide for their family. So, there's more than one way to a great career, and the ending is a wonderful career in the construction trade.
Angela, one program that we didn't even mention, which is probably one of the more important programs to us, is our field trips. We take our education system out to our job sites because it starts with them being educated enough to realize that there's other paths to go the direction that Crystal's talking about. And we spearheaded it in Orange County. After that, Osceola jumped on. I mean, we've done field trips with, so at our age, they were guidance counselors. Now they're called CTEs. And some other markets, I'm sure they're called different titles, but it's taking them out to job sites. We've taken school board members, high heels and all, out to our job sites and shown them the lucrative, career paths. I mean, you've got people making well into six figures and, loving what they do. And it's just, that's one of our programs that we're probably the most proud of, because we get to really change that perspective and that conversation. Because if you can change the guidance counselors, they can talk to the students, and now it's just a matter of how do we get to the parents. And we're the good thing is our camps and those things that we do are definitely getting to the parents. And I have a lot of parents that call me now and say, hey, my kid's about to graduate and I don't think they're made for college. What can we do? And we get them into trade schools, and it's pretty cool. The field trips are definitely one of the things that we do that we take a lot of pride in.
Yeah, and a lot of fun. They're always fun.
They're always fun.
And it's great influence. Those CTEs see what really goes on. I think they always are so surprised by what they see, and they get to hear from people on the sites. They've even heard from students on the sites, and then they can go back and be very influential in their roles in the school system. So it's always been a really great program that has happened. So, well, I think at this point we're ready to go live and join the membership and be able to do a little Q&A. So hang tight and we'll see you in a few seconds.